During World War II, a former division of Texas National Guard is sent on an impossible task in Italy and meets with tragic results, and is then denied justice to save the career of his commanding general. Now that should be a movie. Hello, and thank you for watching today's episode of That Should Be a Movie. I'm C.W. Johnson Jr. Today's book I'd like to pitch as a movie is Crossing the Rapido, A Tragedy of World War II by Duane Schultz from West Home Yard. The book follows the men of the 36th Texas National Guard Division, known as T-Patchers, as they are mobilized and federalized for World War II. After they become the first Americans to set foot on European soil at the Salerno landing, Schultz chronicles the cruel journey up the Italian peninsula against a combat-tested German army. After fighting their way across the Italian mountains and through the town of San Pietro, using one man for every 2 yards gained, they are finally halted before the Gustav line in the cold, swift waters of the Rapido. At the Rapido, the Allies met their match due to the high ground held by the enemy, including the site of the ancient monastery Mount Cassino. They decided to outflank the Germans by landing at Anzio, and he had a diversionary force to attack the Rapido. This task fell to the depleted T-Patchers. Everything was wrong from the start. The Germans had demolished dams upriver and built new ones downriver to make the ground too marshy for the army to drive trucks to the edge. They had cleared all the brush along the banks away, giving themselves a clear line of fire. Without proper equipment, the Americans had to carry rubber dinghies and heavy awkward M2 plywood assault boats, which were very vulnerable to enemy fire, across an open plain full of landmines. The engineers did their best to remove these mines at night to avoid sniper fire, only for the Germans to cross during the day and plant new ones. That the attack would fail was apparent from the start. Major Orrin Stovall, chief engineer, knew so. The soldiers who were on the front line, who would have to go into combat with green second lieutenants and inexperienced replacements, knew so. The Germans, who had spent months fortifying the position, knew so. The commander of the 36th, Fred L. Walker, who had defended the Rock of the Marne during World War I, a position similar to the one he was being ordered to attack, knew so. Everyone but General Mark W. Clark, commander of the 5th Army. The attack occurred January 20 through 22nd, 1944, and became one of the greatest disasters of the fall of the Allies. 1 and 2 men became casualties, either killed, wounded, or missing, lost away by the swift currents of the Rapido. Many of the men were either blown apart by landmines or fell by snipers before they reached the edge of the river, as they carried their heavy, awkward boats across the open plain. Many men more, weighed down with equipment, were drowned when their boats were hit by enemy or friendly fire or overturned by the current of the river. Once they crossed the river, many of the men were missing their equipment, were disorganized, lost, and unable to communicate to the other side, either had to fight to the death, surrender, or face an impossible escape back across the river. Even after the first day's attack was a disaster, and despite protests from others by General Walker, Clark ordered another attack. This one ended with the same tragic results, especially because it was in daylight, and only resulted in rescuing a few men who were trapped on the other side of the river. The battle finally ended with the Germans, having taken care of their own few wounded, asked for a ceasefire to take care of the multitude of American wounded in no man's land. Other instances of German compassion occurred at Rapido, including Wehrmacht soldiers telling American medics to get out of their line of fire before they started shooting, and individual soldiers allowing GIs to escape across the Rapido. Eventually, the men of the 36th were taken off the Gustav line when Anzio and were honored with being the first to enter Rome. They participated in the landing in southern France, crossed the Siegfried Line into Germany, and returned home at the end of the war to live out their lives in relative peace in Texas. But they never forgot their needless sacrifice of the Rapido by Clark. On March 2, 1944, Texas Independence Day, the officers of the 36th met to write up a resolution calling for an investigation into the battle, but waited until the war was over and not undermine American morale. After the war, the investigation became a cause to celebrate for Texas politicians and newspapers. A hearing was finally called on Capitol Hill, but other than tarnishing Clark's reputation in the court of public opinion, nothing came of it. Due to his Cold War diplomatic position and his friends in the War Department, the men of the 36th never saw Clark receive the justice he deserved. I believe a movie about the Rapido could help us honor, sacrifice, and remember the men of the 36th Division, men like Captain John Chapman and his men of Company E, 141st Regiment. this company was made up mostly of Mexicans, Latin-Americans, and Mexican-Americans, many of whom spoke a little English, grew up in the same El Paso boroughs, and have faced discrimination and prejudice all their lives. Chapman, a white man, was so devoted to his men that he even went AWOL after being wounded in order to participate in the attack upon the Rapido. 56 years after his death, the veterans of Company E still wept over him. To Remember and Honor Men by Captain Chapman is why I believe that the story of the 36, as told in Crossing the Rapido by Duane Schultz, should be a movie. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and let us know in the comments section what book, honoring and remembering America's men and women in World War II, you think should be a movie.